Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Who Invited Her. On today's show, we have a very, very special guest that I'm excited who's going to be joining us. He is the host of On the Rocks radio show, which you can watch and listen to every Thursday at ontherocksradioshow.com, YouTube, and the Now Trending app where we're on, where he chats with big names from, film, TV, movies, Oscar, Grammy, Emmy, Tony Award winners, everybody he's had a cocktail with, at least a cocktail, one or two. It's Alexander Rodriguez is going to be on the show with us today. I'm super excited. We're going to talk all things celebrity, some of his favorite celebrity guests, and all of that. We'll cover a little bit of Drag Race and a new celebrity TV show. We're going to get our opinions on this and see how we feel. So I hope you enjoy the show. Hey everybody, I am your host Tony. I'm here with my other host, Bashy. Say hi, Bash.
Hello.
And Miss Miriam T is here, putting on her face again.
Hello, everyone.
And our very special guest today, Alexander Rodriguez from On the Rocks radio show. Hi, Alexander.
Hi, I'm putting my face on too.
How are you doing today, this fine Saturday afternoon?
You know, it's Saturday, it's early in the day, so obviously I'm hungover.
I'll hopefully be hungover later. What are you drinking?
Oh, just vodka for the morning.
Just vodka on the rocks, that's it?
You don't want to mess it up with anything else. It's just a good plain
Bloody
vodka.
Mary. I got my Bloody Mary.
There you go.
So I'm excited to have you on the show because I've listened to your show on Now Trending, which we're on, and you've had some really incredible guests on your show. And I love it because I'm a theater nerd, always have been, and you have some of my favorite theater people who have been on the show. And not just theater people, but just like legendary people from screen, film, everything, like all walks of life are on your show. And you get into questions with them that aren't your typical celebrity kind of questions. It's more of a drunken conversation at a bar
really
with them.
is.
And it's great. So how did On the Rocks get started? Like, how did the show come about and all of that?
I actually used to be a business banker, so I worked for a corporate bank for a number of years. Yeah, like insane. So many years, I don't even want to say. But I went to like a movie release party, and one of the actresses and I got super drunk, as usual. And so we shut the place down, and she says, I just bought a radio station. I'm like, oh, are you from Steel Magnolias? Like, she just bought a radio station, right?
Clarice.
Yeah.
Okay, Clarice.
And she said, you should come in and, do some sample episodes. Well, I wouldn't shut the hell up. And she's like, okay, time.
Yeah.
And that was 6 years ago. And so I left banking, and now this is what I do.
Wow. And you do this full time. Like this is what you do. And you do the show.
Yeah.
It comes out every Thursday. You do it live too, don't you?
Yeah, we do it live on Tuesday because that way you get the celebrities drinking and they can't take anything back.
Exactly.
Because we tried it not live, and then their PR rep would call and be like, you have to cut this and this and that. And I'm like, well, then it's a 5-minute show.
Yeah, you want the good stuff. The audience wants to see the good
That's
stuff.
exactly it. Like, I want to know what co-stars have the worst BO. I want to know who's a closet case. I want to know all of this stuff.
I love that. The other thing too is you had a TV show, the host of the LA TV's Glitter Bomb. You were doing that too for a while, yeah.
Yeah, so we did one season of that. That was the first ever national LGBT Latinx based TV show.
Yeah.
And it was like a talk show with Latinos. But I think they saw through. I'm the worst Latino. I'm like brown on the outside, white on the inside. I'm a Twinkie, right?
Me too.
I can't even order a Del Taco. I'm like, ugh.
I'm like,
so
can I get a
faked it,
burrito? Is that how you say it? A burrito, a tostada?
That's exactly
right.
What's a quesadilla? Give me a quesadilla. But we were on the air. We were the first gay show for this network. It's a national network. I don't think they knew what to do with us. We were around for a season. We had a great first season, but I think they weren't ready for a whole gay show yet.
Oh, really? They were like, I don't
Yeah.
know about this.
They could like we had like our production meetings were literally teaching them our phrases. You know,
Oh,
even
man.
in terms of camera shots, it's like we need a RuPaul camera shot. You can't stick a camera from up. No,
Oh,
down
no.
up. No. The gays won't have it.
So for On the Rocks, I mean, you have had a lot of different celebrities on, a lot of reality show, TV people, film, music. Who has been some of your favorite guests? Because there is a long roster of people you got to interview, and I know you've had a couple of our friends of the show, like Eddie Danger's
Yeah.
been on, Christina
Yes.
Bianchi's been on. Yeah. So who have been some of your favorites?
You know, it's like apples and oranges because I've been so blessed to have so many different genres that I get excited about. When I was growing up, I didn't have friends my age because I just didn't fit any kind of box. So entertainment was my best friend. I watched libraries of black and white films for those were my summers. I watched sci-fi. Reality TV is something I'm addicted to. So I've had a little piece from each one of those genres on the show. So to say your favorite, it's so difficult because I'm such a fan of classic Hollywood, you know, the old black and white
Yeah.
films. But I'm also a Bravo TV whore, you know, just like anything. Housewives of Dollar Store, I'm in. Like I will watch that.
Oh my god.
And of course, you know, the RuPaul world. Love
Yeah.
having a drag queen on. So it's so different as to who your favorite is. It's so hard. It's like Sophie's Choice, you know,
Yeah.
like what kid you're gonna give up.
How about some of your highlights, like some of the interviews that have really stuck with you over the time, because you are over like 200 episodes at this point. Like
Yes.
yeah, it's incredible that it's been going, and it's a lot of work with people don't understand. It's a lot of work.
That's it. You know, in this whole quarantine, everybody's like, "I'll have a podcast," and you're like, "Oh God, here we go."
You're
another
like, good
podcast."
luck.
Yes, and there's like, "Do you have any quick tips for a podcast?" I'm like, "Bitch, there's no quick tip. It is hard work, and you know this. It's
Yeah.
not just doing the show, which does take energy. It's organizing the show. It's the outlines. It's booking the guests. It's the marketing. It's the social
research.
media.
All of that.
That's what takes so long. And what
Mhm.
I love about my show, like you said, is I ask questions that are outside the box
Yeah.
because we've seen these people do the same interviews over and over. It's like, you know, what does it feel like to win an Oscar? What the hell do you think it feels like? What are they gonna say? It felt terrible.
I would love it if they were like,
Okay.
it was the worst moment of my life.
There you go, right? And so the more research you do, the more fun questions you
Yeah.
can have. Like talk to them about playing the trumpet in high school, you know? And they're like, "Oh my God, how did you know that?"
Exactly.
So but it is a lot of work. We did hit over 200 episodes last month, which I'm so proud of.
Wow.
But some of the highlights are some of the surprises. We had Shirley Jones on, and she's
I
an
know,
old
who
MGM
I love.
actress.
Music Man, hello. Oh,
Music Man, Carousel, Oklahoma.
I know. I
Um,
was obsessed with her as a kid.
Those
Ah.
are the records that I grew up
Yeah.
listening to on my mom's old, you know, record player. Those were my best friends. Were those albums? So to have her in studio, I was so scared because I wanted to be careful with her. You wanted to show respect, right? She came in. She was so down to earth. She has 2 martinis every day at 4 p.m. Strong martinis. So she sat back. She drank. She told amazing stories about Frank Sinatra, Gordon McRae. She talked about sex. She was so intimate,
Yeah.
and that was such a shock to me. And to hear some of these stories, she had to audition for Oklahoma, which was her very first film. She had to audition with the orchestra that was playing the Broadway show of Oklahoma, and she had been given the sheet music 2 hours before. So not only was
What?
her audition with 2 hours preparation, she had to do it with a full
The whole
orchestra.
thing.
The whole thing. And she's like, okay, here we
God
go.
damn.
Also,
Talking about nerve.
God, that's making me stressed out just listening to it. I'm like, no.
no, I'm like, you know, I can't even do karaoke. Like, it makes me anxious.
Oh
But then she was
gosh.
telling us about, she was talking about Carousel, which is the movie she made with Gordon McRae.
Yeah.
Frank Sinatra was the original Billy Bigelow.
Hmm.
He was so infatuated. He was having an affair with Ava Gardner, and he heard that she was flirting and meeting with some other gentleman. He left set in the middle of filming Carousel. He had already filmed some of the soundtrack or recorded some of the soundtrack, and he left. He disappeared. So she had to call Gordon McRae, who she had done Oklahoma with,
Yeah.
and she says, "Hey, we need a Billy Bigelow tomorrow." He says, "You know what? I need 5 days," because he had to go on a crash diet. He showed up, and they did Carousel.
Oh my
Dang.
God. Can
See,
you imagine
that's
a
the.
crash diet in those days?
I know.
Like, what
Yeah.
kind of pills were you taking? Like, oh my God.
Exactly.
The Judy
Jeez.
Garland pill.
I know, and if you watch the movie Judy that just came out, they kind of
Yeah.
cover that. And I was like, God, they fucked her over bad.
God,
Yeah.
just to like go through that kind of transformation in 5 days. It's
know.
probably, like,
You
not the
also
most fun.
had on your show one of my favorites, who is in my absolute favorite of all time, as everybody knows, Lainey Kazan, who was in Beaches, who played Bette Midler's
Oh
mom.
my God. What are you, a camo? I'm
What are you,
trying
come on?
over here.
Yes.
So I have to tell you about Lainey.
I
Oh my
love her.
God.
I absolutely adore her.
Big hair, big personality. We had to pre-record the show to fit her schedule, and I'm like, fine, girl. So it's 10:30 in the morning. We had to have bagels. We needed to have the whole schmear for her, right? She comes in like a tornado. Like everything you think she is, you know?
Yeah.
But so friendly. And her personal assistant was one of the hottest boys I have ever seen in my life. But then she got arrested for shoplifting like 3 months later. So I don't know what the show did to her. But again, her stories, you know, she was Barbara Streisand's understudy in Funny Girl on Broadway.
Yeah.
She did not have nice things to say about Barbara Streisand or Ethel Merman, who she sang with on the Dean Martin show. She did a trio with Ethel Merman, Dean Martin, and her. And Ethel Merman kept telling the tech to lower her mic so that she wouldn't be heard.
Wow.
That was a great episode, by the way, when she was on. I love her because I'm a big Beaches is my favorite movie of all time. But you've had a lot of Broadway people on that. Those are the episodes that I really tune into because you don't really get a lot of them on podcasts. Especially like you had Carly Gibson, who I adore and think she is hilarious, who's in the guest book on TBS, or she was. People go listen to that episode. It is a great episode. But you go from
it's such a fun episode.
Oh yeah,
and
she was great.
Sarah Boggess.
I love Sarah Boggess. I saw her in Little Mermaid.
She's a Phantom of the Opera. She did the sequel to Phantom of the Opera, you know, and she was in Into the Woods at Hollywood Bowl. But to just sit and be able to hear these stories firsthand and to see how tiny everybody is too. You know, we see them bigger than life. And it's like, oh my God, you have to bend over, you know, to hug some of these people.
You had also Emma Hunton, who did originated the role in Freaky Friday here in San Diego at La Jolla Playhouse, which I saw her in. And she's in one of my favorite shows of all time that nobody ever does, Mad Ones. And she is amazing. And she's one of the people that I'm like, she's so underrated. People don't know how great her voice is. And I was so glad she was on your show. Yeah.
And she was the youngest Elphaba, and we had her on right before she did Good Trouble on Freeform. Now they're 2 seasons in. She's become a TV personality. And it's so great to see a Broadway star take to TV and, you know, expand. And she talked about body positivity. She talked about being your own person, which is such an important message because she doesn't fit what you would think, you know, what a TV blonde should look like.
Yeah.
And she goes in, she doesn't give a shit. She's like, raw.
I know. That's why I follow her on social media and I've listened to her and followed her career. And I remember seeing her on Freaky Friday when she was really big on Broadway, doing a lot of musical theater. And then to see her go into TV was just, I'm like, good for you. It's like, yes, a theater person translating into TV and film. It's awesome. But yeah. And the other interview that I really loved on yours when you had V. Neal from Face Off. Oh, that was such a great episode.
Probably one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah.
So V. Neal, for those, she's been nominated 8 times for Academy Award. She's won 3 times. She did the makeup for Beetlejuice, Edward Scissorhands, Pirates of the Caribbean, Hunger Games, Mrs. Doubtfire. And she one where it's like, okay, we're going to do the show. Let's do the show. She had no airs. She didn't have any ego. You know, she was on Face Off on TV. She sat, and I literally could have listened to her for hours and hours because she told the most amazing stories about Robin Williams, Tommy Lee Jones, Johnny Depp, and the whole behind the scenes of entertainment, which I'm obsessed about. That was one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah, she went into stories, and she had no holds bar. Like, it
she
was
threw
like
Tommy Lee Jones
under the
bus.
bus.
It up and ran over his head.
I was sitting there. I remember when I first heard the episode, I was like, I can't believe she just said that. But yeah, that was one of my favorite episodes and one of my favorite guests that you have had on. But your show, you just get a variety of people on. And for some reason, they just spill. They get into everything.
Vodka. Hey, It's the vodka. But you know what I like to do is I like to put personalities next to each other that would never work together in
Yeah.
their life. So we'll have like a Sally Kirkland next to a drag queen next to a porn star. And we just talk and we find out, we all have the same passions. We all have the same wants, and needs. It's just how we are in entertainment differently and how we go about that journey. But there's a lot of camaraderie in the industry. We just never get the opportunity to talk outside of our genres,
Yeah.
That's
for
kind of
sure.
the premise for this show, as we
Yeah,
have
Yeah.
Miriam drying her eyeliner. with a little
Eyeliner.
mini-
Our show's a little trashier and a little more
little-
of a train wreck, but hey, what
I
are you
like
gonna
that
do?
makeup though.
Well, Miss
That is
Miriam
on
T,
point.
look at your eye.
Look at that girl. She's got her Beyonce fan.
I
Her
know,
hair
right?
caught in it.
Beyonce fan for my no hair.
I
I'm still
know.
trying-
Alexander, where are you from originally? Like, where did you grow up? Was it Orange County?
Born and raised in Orange County, I was one of the only Latino kids in private school. Had to deal with all that bullshit. I was raised by a single mom who worked 3 jobs to put me through private school. So we were
Yeah.
the poorest family in the school. The only brown kid, right? The only other brown people around were cleaning the bathrooms. So I had to fight all of that stigma growing up. And then, I liked boys. I didn't like boys. I love boys.
Wow.
So try
and-
dealing with that in Orange County.
yeah, and you
now
did
it's
theater. You did a lot of theater, didn't you? Yeah. From
Yeah,
hearing the show, you
uh,
always refer back to it, which I love.
I was a musical theater kid,
Yeah.
as every good gay boy was. I had a mom who drove me to dance rehearsals, voice rehearsals, all that. So I got to do shows outside of the school system
Oh, nice.
at an early age. And then I moved to LA, and having to audition next to people who can really sing and who can fit in a size 28 jean. I was like, bye, I'll go to banking.
You're like, nope, that's not for me. Bye.
Yeah.
But now look at you. Now you're interviewing all of them.
Isn't that funny?
I
And I have to
know.
tell you, what got me into theater was being at that private school. There was the Christmas musical that they've had all the grades act in. And I think it was as a joke. They're like, oh, it was about this Christmas alien that came from outer space. And his name was GT, the Glad Tidings alien. And they're like, let's put the brown kid as the alien. Looking back, how awful was that?
How
right? It's like, yeah,
awful.
I'm the alien here. Bitches on them. I stole the show and then I started acting.
There you go.
Oh my god.
So, as a theater fan, what are some of like your all-time favorite musicals? Because I know on your show you talk a lot of theater talk, and it's to me
Yeah.
I love it because I'm a theater nerd. So,
Evita is number 1. I own the album in 8 different languages. I even have the Evita album in Hebrew, believe it or not. Something about that musical because it's so dramatic.
Hebrew.
About a diva.
are you keeping up on Patti LuPone? For some reason lately, she's been, especially since Hollywood came out, like her on Watch What Happens Live, and her shadiness has been so good lately.
She has always been so outspoken. I have been a Patti LuPone fan since I was young. I would fly to whatever state she was in, and this is when she was doing Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah.
This is before she had her big kind of resurgence. Remember when she did Life Goes On, that
Yeah.
TV show?
Yeah,
So I would follow her, and
nobody
I would see her
remembers
in
that
Palm Springs.
show.
Oh God, I do. I have the song on my playlist. 'Cause she
Wasn't
does
the main kid
highlights.
Corey or Corey, right?
Corky.
Corky, yeah,
Corky.
that's right.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Oh, that bitch.
I know. Bash is like, oh, now I
was
know.
Yeah. Can-
But she would sing on the show, and I would just lose it. But I went to Palm Springs to see her. She had been kind of not doing anything for a few years, and this was when I was young. And I had written her so many fan letters, and I drew a picture of Glenn Close singing like a frog, and she must have loved that. So she
Yeah.
invited my mom, my grandma, and me backstage after her show. The assistant came out and said, "Is there an Alexander Rodriguez here? We'd like to invite you backstage." I was in her dressing room. I freaked out. I spilled water all over her makeup table,
Oh my
whatever.
God.
And then I have a picture. My grandma had big hair, like big Palm Springs hair like this. She went over and she hugged Patti LuPone without her even saying anything. And we know Patti doesn't like to be touched by strangers. We have this picture of Patty's nose and my grandma's big hair. It's just like, my grandson loves you. He loves you. You should sing a duet with him. I'm like, oh my God,
God.
Grandma.
I would have been mortified if my grandma did
Oh,
that.
I was so mortified. And she was like, yeah, real cute. I'm Patti LuPone.
I would have loved to have seen her in the new revival of Company that was in London, where they did the gender swap for Bobby, who was played by a girl. And I know it made it to Broadway, but because of everything that's happening with COVID, they shut it down right before it was like starting to pick up steam. And I just saw an interview with her not too long ago where she talked about that experience doing Company in London and how different it was being directed, because she's done the show before,
Many times.
being directed this time by a woman, and her playing the character she did. I would have loved to have seen her in that. Like, and that was, I think, the last theater thing she has done since now that we're in quarantine.
Yeah, well, and now she's busy being a Ryan Murphy and
I
Queen. It's
know.
like, I love Patti LuPone. I don't know if I need to see Patti LuPone in a sex scene, by the way.
Oh, I know. How weird was it in Hollywood?
Yeah, I was like,
Do you remember that, Vashi?
I forgot about that.
I know. I was
"Shit,
like,
get back,
why
Patty."
do I feel like I should be
Where's the
covering
scene
my
Patti
eyes? Right.
It was so uncomfortable.
But she made that show. She was my favorite part of that show, Hollywood, that came out. She was so good in that, and she did such a great job. But who on the show have you not had yet that you would just pretty much shit your pants? if they
Jessica
came out?
Lange.
Jessica Lange.
Lange. Without a heartbeat, like, give me some Jessica Lange.
I
I'll even take a Sarah
know.
Paulson.
Yeah.
But,
But Jessica
Yeah.
Lange.
and she hates doing press. And then she got wrangled in to do some like Skype interview that I watched on YouTube, and it was so uncomfortable because that's just not her form. Some divas,
Yeah.
that's it's just not her thing. So
Yeah.
as much as I would love to interview her, I don't know what I would say or do. I mean,
You would
Jessica
pro-
Lange.
I know. She's a legend. Legend.
Yeah,
I'd be like, can you just be Fiona for the whole time? From
that's exactly it. Or like,
Please,
let's
we're
do the
just
name
act.
game.
the name. Oh my god. Who I know you probably won't name names, but some of the guests you have on that were probably a hard interview. I know we've had some that are like,
Yeah.
how
And
do
you
you
know, you
handle
just
that?
never-
Like, how do you get through it?
It's just maintaining what your brand is. Never sacrifice what your brand is. If they're acting like a fool and not fitting what you're doing, it's on them.
Mhm.
Early on, I tried to modify the show to whatever they wanted to do or what their energy was, and that was just not a good thing. Tara Reid was a really
I know I
hard
heard your
interview to
stories
do.
about that on
Oh
the
my
V
God.
Meal. She gave a story
Yeah.
about her on the airplane. And I was like, "Ooh, it was so good though." I love that juicy
Oh my
shit on
God.
the celebrities. I love all that gossipy stuff. But yeah,
Oh my God, me too. But hard interviews that I'm very honest about, stand-up comics are really difficult
really,
interviews. The stereotype is they come from a darker place, and
Mhm.
that is what I've seen to be true. Without their shtick, they don't really know what to do. They don't want to talk about themselves, really.
yeah,
We had a really bad incident, the worst episode of our 200 plus shows. We had the actor, I forget what his name is now, John or Jack, but he was on the Mad TV show, but he was also on Saturday Night Live, and he was only on for one season.
yeah.
Either his PR rep didn't prep him enough, but he came in, his attitude sucked. He would give 1 or 2 word answers, and then like 20 minutes in, he's like, "Is this a fag show?"
Oh,
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
What did you say? How did you react to that? I would have been like, okay, bye.
Well, I almost spit out my vodka. He was doing such a bad job. He looked so dumb. And I'm like, oh,
I
somebody wasn't prepped
know.
for this, interview. And then I tried to appeal to like his creative process and all that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I guess he doesn't have a creative process. His creative process is just to be a dick. But it was not a good interview at all. But
Yeah.
stand-up comics are really tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like one of the other people you've had on, I think multiple times, is Mindy Sterling, who I adore.
Oh, I love Mindy.
Mindy is so
Mindy-
good.
Yeah.
And I love her stories
Also-
about her and her son, because her
Mindy
son's like,
Sterling is my favorite character.
I know you love
Yeah.
her, Miss Miriam T.
What's going on over there?
What are you doing, Miss Miriam? She looks
It's a little
greasy.
Putting on makeup.
She's blotting.
I know. I like watching her process when she does this. It cracks me up.
Yeah.
Because the finished project, the finished look is always like,
I know.
good. It's so
Once
good.
in a while, though, I check in and I'm like, what the fuck
Fuck
is
is she-
happening?
I know.
But then
It's magic. Magic. is
Magic.
happening.
Drag
yes-
is one of those.
Huh? Go ahead, Miriam.
Drag gets drag gets real ugly before it gets real pretty.
Yes,
True.
I'm finding that out.
True. But yes, Mindy Sterling on your show has been great. And I love the story she tells about her son because they live together and he's like 24 or something like that. And she's just so funny. And I love that she comes on and she just does not give a shit.
She's hilarious. And for your viewers who don't know, she played Frau in the Austin Powers movies. She's now on the Goldbergs. She is one of the most down-to-earth people. She teaches at the Groundlings. Improv is her life. She's a single mom. Her son Max is such a sweetheart. He has autism, which she speaks so openly about, and some of the challenges and the rewards. She's a 2-time cancer survivor.
Yeah.
So when it comes to life, she really doesn't give a shit. She
has
lives
great
it for
stories.
her own.
Great stories.
And she can drink anybody under the table with wine. You go, whatever. It's wine, wine, wine. And she's hilarious. Like how she is on the screen is really like how she is in person. She's so naturally funny, and has become a really good friend.
Oh, that is awesome. Okay, so you're over 200 episodes. What is your favorite part of doing your show, and what is like the worst part of doing your show that you're just like, oh yeah? Because I know I have mine doing this show.
I think the worst part is all the business part, sending the asks, scheduling, doing the social media. I hate doing social media, but it's such a necessity.
No.
But I'm such like a micromanager. If I have like an intern or somebody helping, I'm like, just get out of the way. I'm going to do it. Right.
I do that all the time to Rob, and he gets so mad. He's like, we're getting a divorce. I'm like, that's fine. Bye. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, Robbie.
But the best part of the show is just having conversations and hearing stories you haven't heard before. That's. I mean, I love talking about entertainment so much. Like I said, whether it's a Bravo TV show or whether we're talking about an old MGM movie, I can't saturate enough of entertainment because no matter the actor or the reality TV personality, it's a struggle to be out in the public. It's not. There's no such thing as an overnight success. These people have worked really hard to get where they are, to maintain where they are, and survive. Like I call it the Bravo bubble. When their 15 minutes of fame are over, there's a depression and there's a struggle that happens. So hearing some of the reality behind this, it's so good for us all to hear.
Yeah.
Because we are, no matter if they've won an Academy Award or a Tony Award, they're just people just like us. Some of them have peed the chair in the studio, by the way.
Who? I want names. I want names.
Bravo TV. Bravo TV, and she didn't even say anything, by the way. I don't know if it's because she laughed too hard or because she got so drunk, but she literally left the studio after we took our pictures, and our engineer's like, somebody wet the chair. And it was like a puddle. I was like, oh my God, girl. I won't say exactly who, but
it's somebody from Bravo
You're actually
TV.
the third guest to have that very similar story on our show.
Yeah, we've had other guests say that too. Yeah.
I'll take that as a compliment, maybe.
Yeah.
They laughed so hard they peed.
That's a good thing. You made them laugh so hard they peed. So what are, like right now being in quarantine where we're stuck at home, what are some of your favorite things you're watching on TV, YouTube, all of that? Like what are you obsessed with right now?
I kind of hit a wall last week because there's so much content and it's all really good content, but it can become oversaturation, like too much chocolate, right? So I hit a wall where it's like I wasn't being affected anymore by really good content. So I've taken a break and I've started reading. Stephen King came out with a new book, but before that, of course, I watched Hollywood.
What's a
I
book?
fell into the trap of right. It's like Grindr with pages. You're like, what's next? Wow.
Same amount of flipping.
Yeah. Verse flip.
But I do understand that. I mean, it is saturated.
Yeah.
There's so many new TV shows and YouTube stuff and everything to watch. But I feel like it's going to slow down at some point because they're not producing anything new.
No.
Like there's
it's going to be weird.
I know, because there's a lot of stuff that comes out. It was weird because May is usually the time when we start getting the new TV shows. They start promoting because it's pilots, all of that for what's coming in the fall. None of that this year. So there's really like, what are we going to look forward to? What new TV shows? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and they're moving a lot of projects that were slated to later. They're moving up. Like I think Discovery on CBS Access is going to come out
Yeah.
earlier. Snowpiercer with TNT, I think comes out on the 17th,
I
and it
love
wasn't
that
scheduled till
movie.
June.
That is such a good
Well,
movie.
So this is the TV show.
Yeah, they turned
It's
it
a
into
TV show.
Yeah.
You had Alex on your last episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so TNT sent me the season, so it was fun to watch that.
How is
Jennifer
it?
Connelly is in it.
Good?
Jennifer Connelly is in it.
Oh man. Your face said it all. You don't need to say anything. Your face said it all.
I'm gonna pull that trick where I just freeze.
You're gonna pull a Mariam T and just freeze in
Yeah.
place. But it's interesting that you bring up the TV shows because there is a new show coming out. I think Netflix is doing it with it's called Social Distance, and it's the producer of Orange is the New Black, and the whole show, everything's done remotely. From the director is directing all of the cast remotely. The cast is filming themselves at home. Everything's doing it remotely. Like, and I'm like,
I hate it already.
I know.
I know.
Like,
I was like,
Yeah.
wait, is it like a giant Zoom call, or is there actually going to be scenes and stuff that we're
that's what I'm
supposed to?
curious. Well, it's from what I read, it's a scripted show, but it's of quarantine, what's happening now, and it's a story that's taking place within the atmosphere of being quarantined and social distancing.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It might.
Well,
Hate it. Send it back. I don't accept the receipt. I don't want any part of it.
And it's funny because studios are saving so much money. They're not having to pay for lodging,
I
travel,
know.
Yeah.
star trailers. They're not having to do any of that, and they're getting all this
Equipment.
cheap content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know
I
how I
know,
feel about that.
I was thinking about the same thing though, because I don't know if I've just been completely removed, but I haven't heard of any major new songs coming out either. I think the music industry is kind of taking a breath.
I mean, Lady Gaga pushed her album back. I mean, but there was a thing that Lady Gaga and the what is her name? I can't remember her name. Ariana Grande.
Oh.
Their new
Ariana?
singles. Yeah. I'm like, what is her name? Oh my
Ariana
God.
Grande is her
Ariana
name.
Grande.
God. Sometimes my brain just is like old man brain. Jesus
It's
Christ.
okay.
I'm like, the girl with the ponytail. What's her name? I don't remember her name.
It's one to forget. It's okay. Spill
But
the
their
tea.
single, they have a new single coming out that's supposed to drop, I think, next week. So I'm curious about that. That'll be
Your whole
interesting.
voice is manufactured, you know. I think
know.
it's easy to program that in.
It's a robot.
Come
She's
on,
really a
Brittany.
robot.
Come on, Brittany.
But Brittany's Insta, we talked about this on another show. Her Instagram, she is cuckoo magoo, and I love it. I love it. She's
I'm
It's
worried.
crazy.
amazing.
I am
huh?
a little worried.
I'm worried for her, but I mean, how many? She's went crazy before, and she came through it. So
Yeah. It's just
Yeah.
come out with new albums. She'll be
Yeah,
fine.
she'll
What I
be
love
fine.
with social media, like Leslie Jordan, who's been a Pride
I
pioneer
love
before
him.
it was cool. His social media,
Oh.
he reached like 1 million
Yeah.
3 months ago, and now he's 3.5 million followers on Instagram.
it's
It's
And
just
incredible.
crazy.
He's
Good
so
for
good
him,
at it,
though.
too.
He's amazing.
Yeah, he's hilarious, and he's just doing what he does. He's not trying to do anything. This is who he is.
Yeah.
And he's had a rough journey of being himself.
Yeah.
And he's, we're in Pride season. He's such a great example of somebody that comes from the past of Pride, who is still making a name for himself
Yeah.
by maintaining his brand and being who he really is.
Yeah.
Right. And I
So
think
well
like
said.
some people, social media is super annoying, but he's somebody that knows how to do it as an art form.
Yeah.
And it's just so fucking funny. I mean, like
It's so
everything
good.
he does is so good.
Yeah, I
He's
would.
fun.
Yeah, I'm happy to see like him get the recognition now and get like a
Yes.
platform and start blowing up. And I hope great things happen for him because I think he is so
Yeah.
funny and so good. And he's in Sorted Lives, one of my favorite movies. I love that movie.
Yep.
And what? Go ahead.
Here's like a little fun fact. So he won the Emmy playing Beverly Leslie on Will and Grace. Did you know that role was written for Joan Collins as a guest spot? But Joan Collins didn't want her wig to come off because there was a fight and the wig was going to have to come off. And she's like, no, I'm not going to do it. They bring in Leslie Jordan for a women's role. Not only does he nail it, but then he becomes part of the history of the show.
Yeah. And it's the scene where Karen and him get in a fight in the bathroom over Rosario,
Yeah.
and they rip each other's wigs off. I remember that.
Yes. Can you imagine Joan Collins doing it? No,
I
bro.
mean, come on, you'd want to see Joan Collins get her wig ripped
Of
off.
course. When I saw her in American Horror Story, I almost I was
so
wet
good.
my pants. Talk about wetting your pants. So good.
Oh man, but that brings up another thing I was talking to you guys earlier about. Another new show coming out. It's called Celebrity Watch Party, and the show is a show of where you watch celebrities watching TV.
Oh, it's like Gogglebox.
Ooh,
That's
hey,
thank
send
you,
it back.
Bashy. Gogglebox, like the UK has. I'd
Wait,
rather
what'd you say, Miriam?
go ahead.
There's that show on Bravo TV that was around for 5 years called The People's Couch.
Yeah.
Emerson Collins from Del Shore Sorted Lives World
Mhm.
did it, and they did it for 5 years. But
It
it
was
was
good.
brought over from the UK, and it was
Mhm.
people watching TV and making funny comments. But
Yeah.
now with celebrities, and talk
Yeah.
about the cheapest show that you could make. You didn't have to produce like a new show.
God, I'm like,
It's so
that's lazy.
true.
But
It's like
see,
enraging.
but the thing difference with Gogglebox that the UK has, it's regular people. So you see regular people
Yeah.
watching TV, which I'd rather watch like my neighbors or something watching TV that have no idea and like just unscripted, doesn't really give a shit what they say, just says it. But I don't know how I
Now-
feel about watching celebrities watching TV.
Real celebrities or like RuPaul's Celebrity Drag Race celebrities?
No, it's like they have
would be fun.
Rob Lowe watching TV with his two sons. Raven Simone was one. I know exactly.
Falling asleep, honey.
So man, I mean, it's not like would you call them? They're celebrities, but not like.
Rob Lowe's
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
a celebrity.
Yeah.
But everybody
but
they
on the
you
TV.
killed to watch Meryl Streep watching Tiger King. Like,
see that would be
That's all I
amazing.
would do.
I'd watch that. Oh my god! But the Meryl Streep, she just did the Sondheim birthday thing, and her Audrey McDonald and Christian Baranski did a live number of women who lunch. And I remember reading or seeing an interview where they were terrified to do it live because they were like, "We don't know how this is gonna be," and it was so good.
it was so good, and they had to raise the key for Audra McDonald. So
Yeah.
there was that. There was also, they were in their earpieces, and then we know when the live stream of Stephen Sondheim's birthday started, there was all these tech issues.
Oh,
so they were
yeah.
like an hour late.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Plus, it's such an iconic song. The Ladies Who Lunch,
Yeah.
so iconic.
was so
I
good,
can't even
though.
imagine. But Audra McDonald wasn't worried. She was like,
Oh, she's
"Bitch,
like, I got
have
this.
a
What are you
sleep
talking
on
about?"
Xanax. I got this.
I love her. Her big Broadway thing that made her popular was Ragtime, I believe, and then she went into Carousel, Masterclass, everything. Like her career is amazing. And then she was on The Practice for a while. I want to say, so another show on TV. Then she started moving into TV. But I love her and Christian Baranski. Both of them with Meryl Streep. It was so good.
So Audra McDonald was at the Grove in Los Angeles, and my ex-boyfriend and I at the time, we followed her all around because she was just shopping. She had bags. She went to the Gap, whatever, and she
The
finally
Gap.
turned and she's like, "Can I help you?" And I was like, "Oh my God, Audra, I love you. I listen to you every morning in the shower, and I just love you, and I want you to sing this, and I love this, and blah blah blah." And she was with her son. She put her son behind her. Thank you. Is that all? I was like, "Oh my God." I was so embarrassed.
I would have
"Who's
done
this
the
bitch
same
following me?"
thing.
Oh, that's amazing.
She's like, "Who is the stalker? Not again."
Oh. And I can tell you, she's got booty, by the way.
Oh,
Booty. We
yeah.
don't see it on, under her Broadway costumes, but girl, she's got booty. She should do like a Broadway twerk contest for the poor. Like, I would pay for that.
Oh my god! So I love asking this. What are some of your because you can really tell somebody's personality and them
Yes.
by their favorite movies. The top 5, like their go-tos. You can tell a lot about somebody. So I'm curious about yours, Alexander.
The Women, the black and white version of The Women, which is the classic film with Rosalind Russell.
Oh, interesting.
Frida with Salma Hayek. Adam's Family Values. Requiem for a Dream. What would the 5th be? Star Trek 2.
Oh, okay. You saw
course,
that they're because I know you're a Star Trek fan, that they're coming out
Huge
with a new
fan.
show, Star Trek, but
Yes.
it's supposed to be prior to Kirk, like it throwback to
It's
the
Captain
original.
Pike. It's Captain Pike, Rebecca Romaine Stamos,
Yeah.
or Rebecca Romaine, sorry, not Stamos. She
Romaine.
plays number one. And then Ethan Peck comes back, and he's the sexy, new
Yeah.
boy in Discovery. He's playing Spock,
Yeah.
and it's all about their journeys together. And that Captain Pike, photon
So hot.
torpedoes away, okay?
But they're doing it in the style of the original
Yes.
Star Trek, which
I
I'm like, I'm
love it.
living for
Oh
that.
shit! Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the original set, like the '60s kind of look.
Yeah, that
Oh,
vibe.
that's awesome.
Yeah, which I think is great
Yeah.
because Picard, the TV show Picard that's out right now, has been doing awesome. I mean, people are loving it. So I'm glad that they're keeping within the Star Wars or Star Trek, but throwing it to where it got its roots with the original
That's exactly
Star
right.
Trek. I
Yep.
love that. I love that they're
I'm
going to be
so
doing
excited.
that. I know, right? Oh, you know what? I was going to talk to Bashy and Mary about this because we talked about it on the show, and I don't know if you watch this, but I have been putting it off watching this movie, and I was like, I know it's going to be bad. But so I got super, super stoned last weekend, and Robbie and I watched Cats.
Oh,
Finally.
was it any good? Tell me. I want to know.
Oh my God. One, I was really high and I text Bashy because I was like, Bashy, I'm finally watching Cats. He goes, what do you think? I said, it's weirdly beautiful, but utterly disturbing. I was like, why didn't they just keep the regular Broadway costumes? It would have worked perfectly. But it
I
was
feel-
creepy as fuck. Like
I feel
watching
like
it high, I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I'm going to have nightmares.
I feel like there's enough movies like this now for Netflix to have like an Uncanny Valley category.
I
And
wouldn't-
would actually, like watch all of those.
I would not have cast Rebel Wilson as Jenny Dots. Like that whole number I was so disappointed. I was like, and I love the show. I'm probably one of the only people who love the musical.
Me too.
I
Me
really
too.
do.
It has great music. I don't like to watch the show, but I love to listen to the show.
But
Um,
I think if you watch this movie with not knowing Cats, you'd be like, what the fuck is happening? Like, is this a horror movie? Or, like, I don't know what's happening. Like, if you don't know Cats already, you're going to be like, what the fuck? This makes no sense.
Yeah, and I've never seen it, so this would be my first.
And just
foray
like the
into
way
it.
their bodies were with it was weird. And then Judi Dench was wearing a fur coat, so it was like, is she wearing another
Yeah.
cat over her body? Like, what is going on? This is like cute.
she's a cannibal.
I know. And then she's laying in like a cat bed and like flicking her tail. It was weird. It was so weird.
I want to see it so bad.
Judi Dench was cast in the original cast of Cats, and she was
Yeah.
supposed to be the original one to sing "Memory," but she sprained her ankle and she couldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, they had a lot of talent in the movie, except for a few people. I don't know why they cast Rebel Wilson and what's his name, Gordon. No,
Jeff Corden.
yeah,
What?
what's his name?
I
James,
don't know.
James Corden.
Corden.
Yes.
yeah,
I was like, oh, rough. And then they had Taylor Swift doing the McCavity song, which I was
Yeah.
like, no,
that was weird.
no.
You
Why
should
do they
have done
keep
like
doing this?
A goggle box of you watching Cats.
I
would've-
know. I
Yes!
was just
Enjoyed
like,
that.
Awesome.
I kept like having to be like, am I awake? Is this a nightmare? What's happening? I don't understand. Like, Rob, help. And he's like, this is so bad. It was just bad.
Like, where did you get this weed?
I got super high, like edible on top of weed. So I
Oh,
was
God.
like,
it still wasn't good.
no, I was hoping that was gonna make it even good, at least bearable. But no, it was like the worst thing you could possibly do. It was
Oh,
so
my God.
bad. It was like watching The Rent live, which I cannot stand. I hated The Rent live.
Oh,
Oh,
my
it was a
God.
nightmare. It was horrible.
Oh.
I hated it. Why did they cancel Valentina? I don't know. It was disrespectful to the role. All of that shit. I hated it. That's what it was like. It was like they should have just left it alone. Leave Cats alone. Let it be a weird stage show. That's what I
Yes,
thought.
thank you.
Did you
Yeah.
did you see it, Alexander? Have you seen it yet? Have you suffered through it?
So it's on my queue because, like I said, I hit a wall, and I'm like, you know what? This might be something. If it's bad enough, if it's a good bad enough to be like a guilty pleasure,
It's
but
not
it
a
doesn't even
Showgirls.
sound like that. I did listen to the soundtrack though, the minute it came out,
Mhm.
and I could tell right away. I'm like, ooh, they missed this. Even the instrumentation was off. And then
Yeah.
Taylor Swift, she was so out of place.
Bad. She was
Yeah.
bad. Well, that was the other thing. They changed up the music a bit to make it more modern,
Yeah.
and I was like, nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
No.
Give me the 80s shit. No, none of this, please.
Yeah.
No. Jennifer Hudson singing Memories. I was like, oh my God, can you overact anymore? Can you?
Yeah, it wasn't natural. You know, ever since she lost all that weight on Weight Watchers, she hasn't had the same kind of voice. And I'm afraid that's going to happen to Adele. She's going to come out with a new CD
Yeah.
called Goodbye. And we're going to be like, no, bitch.
Oh my God. But yeah, I would be curious, Alexander, for you to watch Cats and get your viewpoints because
I'm going to do it this weekend.
because you're a theater person and you know the show Cats.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to get your take on it. Because it was bad, and I love
What's
the
it
show. We rented it. I bit the bullet
you
and
paid
spent money.
money?
Yeah, because I was like, what else am I
Yeah.
gonna do? I'm gonna rent it. So
I don't know. I might bite the bullet on that.
I'm Bashi. Watch it stone and just commentate because I'm sure it'll be amazing when you watch it. It is not a Showgirls bad. I'm gonna say that it is bad because there's. I
Oh, that's so
know.
That's such a
bad.
good night, actually.
I know, because you know movies that are bad, but they fall into the showgirl genre of
I
being bad.
love it. Yes. Yes.
Same.
Like
Same.
Toys. Did you guys see Robin Williams' Toys?
Yes, with Joanne
Cusack?
Cusack. Yes.
I have,
Yeah,
but I
So
haven't-
good.
It was like childhood, though. Did
Yeah.
you watch it recently?
Rewatch it because it's not the best movie, but it's so
Bizarre.
delicious.
Yeah.
Yes, and LL Cool J in it, and Michael Gambon. Yes,
Oh, I totally
Yeah.
forgot he was in it. That's
yes.
so right.
And Donald O'Connor from Singing in the Rain is in the beginning too.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't even
Yeah.
think- What are some of
Watch that movie.
Toys.
What are some of your other guilty pleasures that you love to watch that like you're like, I'm not gonna tell anybody I'm watching this, but
All day, every day. I cannot go to sleep without. It could be 4 a.m. that I stumble home. I have to watch 2 episodes of Judge Judy every single goddamn day. Every day.
okay. Okay, RuPaul. Judge Judy, really? Isn't she ending her show though?
She is. So I think there's some drama behind the scenes because she did have like a 13-year contract, and I think things got a little fishy with CBS because she's not ending the show. She's doing a different kind of version. It's going to be called something different. It has a different format.
Yeah.
But I to me that reeks of contract negotiation stuff. I think
Oh.
CBS is like, we have so many years of episodes. We don't need to be paying you the millions of dollars to be doing new episodes. We just don't. Her repeats are from 9 years ago, and they're just as entertaining.
Really?
So I
Wow.
think there was some contract stuff.
So Judge
That's
Judy's
true.
your guilty pleasure, which you love.
Oh God, yes.
Are you caught up on Drag Race this season? What are you
Yes.
thinking of this season so
Yes.
far?
So it's such a weird position because we know that the Final Four, not the Final Four now.
Mhm.
Jackie Cox is back because Sherry
Yeah.
Pie, bye to Pie.
I know, and on the
It's so weird, but
on this episode, it was weird because they announced like, "Are you Team Crystal? Are you Team Jada?
Yeah.
Are you Team Gigi?" No, Sherry Pie. It was so
Yeah.
awkward and weird.
and her social media, she hasn't posted anything since
Mm-mm.
March, so she's been
Yeah.
totally out of it. But I think this season we have the most talented overall cast
Yes.
I have ever seen on any of the seasons. It's a difficult choice.
Yeah, and I think you can feel it too with the judges, especially on the
Yeah.
newest episode that came out. Like when they did the Rusical, this new one that they did for the Vegas
Yeah.
show. I was like, they're
I mean,
all
they had to
so
bring it.
good. Who are they going to get rid of? All of them did a great job. They all looked amazing, and even the contestants that are no longer on, like Heidi and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Oh, I
everybody-
love
I
Heidi.
did too. She was so
Yeah.
good on the show, but I'm really
And her
glad.
one-liners.
Oh, I know, right? But
Yeah,
I'm really
yeah,
glad Crystal Method is like made it to the top because I know Miriam and I were like, oh, I love her. She's so weird. I love her.
I think she should have gone home. I'm
do?
sorry to disagree. Yeah, that like genie, the blueberry from Willy Wonka outfit, like what
She was the
hell?
genie.
No.
I loved it. It was like the genie from Pee Wee's Playhouse. And she looked so
the
good.
Blueberry from Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
But she's
That got
doing,
deflated on one side.
costume makeup.
Yeah.
I don't think what she's doing is drag. I think it's performance art. When you paint your whole face like when she did the whole Bert and Ernie type thing,
Oh, I love
that's
that.
not drag. That's
Look at Miriam.
not
Look at
drag.
now. Miriam's awake.
Yeah, she's like, oh, here I go.
Oh, you
Huh?
I
can't.
can't hear you guys. I'm trying
Yeah,
to
she's
listen.
having technicals.
She's
So
having
she's just
technicals.
doing makeup.
Hearing is the first thing to go in menopause. Hearing is the first thing to go.
But it has been a great season. I mean, all the
So
queens
good.
have been so talented, and it's a different vibe. This what's it called? This season, like people are really stepping it up, and it just feels. It's just a good vibe. That's why I'm loving this season.
And they're
of
supporting
RuPaul.
each other on
Yeah.
the show. We're seeing a competition where they can actually support each other and appreciate the differences.
Yeah.
You know, there's been some cattiness, which has to be on any show, but it's not
Exactly.
like before where there's these wars. They are truly loving and supporting each other. And I think that's so important for the community to see right now. You know, everybody's putting out digital stuff right now. And I think we're being really supportive right now. We're guesting on other people's podcasts. We're
Yeah.
sharing other people's posts. And that's something different than what's happened before this whole pandemic, where there was more competition. Now we're kind of like, yeah, we are all in this together.
Yeah, everybody's trying to do something.
Yeah.
Or moving to different platforms like this
Yep.
and stuff. So it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how things go from here over the next few months, and like how especially film and TV, how that's going to evolve over the next couple months. It's going to be really interesting. But it is time for one of our favorite segments of the show, you guys. Let's see if it'll play.
I didn't think of one.
I know, I was surprising you guys.
Miriam's doing.
Carol, for once in your life, shut your damn mouth.
Yes, you guys, it is time for Carol of the Week. And for people who don't know who Carol of the Week is, this is our segment where we get to gripe about anything we want. What's getting under your skin this week? What do you hate? What is bothering you? Get it off your chest. That is our Carol. So, Bashy, Miriam, do you guys have one? Think hard. I know Miriam does.
Very
You
good.
want a Carol?
Yes.
Yes.
Hear me? Okay, I can't hear you guys.
Yeah.
But my Carol is this: doing doing any kind of online
Technical stuff.
content,
For drag?
having to record satellite. I'm a
Yeah.
live performer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Online drag shows suck. Unpopular opinion. Everyone's talented, but it's just not the same.
Yeah.
It's very true.
It's very true. I mean, watching all of the queens going virtual, some of them do okay, but it is just not the same vibe as being at a live drag show, and that's what sucks. And I know with our community, people miss that. It was like your night to go out, be with people like you, be around drag queens and all of that good stuff. So, yeah. It's a little like frustrating not having that, and I think for people in the LGBTQ community, it was their safe haven. For some of them, it was their safe haven to go out to the gay bars, and not having that around.
Some of us is just work.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for you it was
true.
work. Yeah, and that's the other thing. A lot of people we know, that was their income, that was their livelihood, and now it just sucks. And
Yeah, going from being a full-time drag as
Yeah.
your only income.
yeah, it's hard. It's been hard for people.
And the government's like, a drag what? Unemployment what?
It's hard to be an artist.
Bashi, do you have a Carol this week?
I do. It's a little less serious, but
Go ahead.
I think everyone who still has money decided to renovate their house this week.
Just this
So-
week?
All of fucking North Park is under construction, and like, I mean, they got bike lanes going in. Every third house has it. Like, I hear hammers and jackhammers and shit all day long. And when you're also trying to do your day job over Zoom, it's not the most convenient thing. So,
I will second that. I didn't realize how many times gardeners and trash people came out. I
Thank
had no
you.
idea.
Oh my God. Do you know how many times I've been on a work Zoom call or on a conference call and the freaking gardener, I'm like, weren't they just cutting the lawn yesterday? Or the garbage is coming like 5 times a week? I'm like, what
I
the
honestly think
fuck?
ours come twice a week to
I
our building.
know. It's so
And I was
annoying.
like, wow, I didn't know you guys did this. But
God.
we've become friends now.
Jesus Christ. I think my Carol are the people, like when I go for my walks and runs during the day, the people who are not wearing masks and could give 2 shits about it, coughing everywhere, walking right next to you, and then giving you the stink eye because you are wearing a mask and trying to social distance. That bugs the shit out of me. Like, it gets under my skin like nobody's business. I'm just like, oh, don't go away. Go away, people. What about you, Alexander? Do you have something that gets under your skin?
Yes, I do. It's all of the influencers, the shirtless muscle, big butt, Andrew Christian underwear. And they're taking these pictures of themselves looking gorgeous. And they're like, oh my God, gaining so much weight during quarantine. My gym is closed. It's like, bitch, you look more amazing than I ever will in my life. Stop complaining, Mr. Pex.
I know, seriously. They're like, I gained 5 pounds. Oh, I'm like, oh, shut up.
Bitch, I gained 5 pounds on this Zoom call. Give me a break.
Oh my God. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show today, Alexander.
I can't wait for you guys to come up to LA and come be on my show.
Yes,
know.
absolutely. That would
Have
be
to
so
do
much
that.
fun. Yes. How do people find you? How do they find the show? Where can they watch you every week? Give them the rundown.
The easiest is ontherocksradioshow.com. We have the video and audio all there for you for free. And you can cycle back through our library to 5 years ago. So ontherocksradioshow.com.
Yes, and you guys can watch them on Now Trending, which we're on, Friends of the Podcast. And Bashy, how do people find you on social media?
I'm at samename_Bash.
There you go.
Running very fast from other people on 28th Street.
Yes. And Miss Miriam T, if you could hear me, how do people find you? And give them the details for bingo later.
You can find me on my website, sheherme.com. You can always find me on Instagram at @TheMiriamT. Bingo is at 4 o'clock Pacific time. You can go to bingo.com to buy your bingo cards.
Yes, and you
I
can.
won't be producing any online drag shows. Don't fucking ask me.
She's taking a break. She's done. She is
won.
done.
It sucks. I'm done.
You
Well,
guys,
the wig today.
I know, right? Are you gonna put a wig on? Are you done?
Do I look like I'm done?
No. Then
why are you asking me a stupid question?
Just to get under your skin, Miss Miriam T. But you guys can follow the podcast at whoinvitedher_podcast on Instagram. We are Who Invited Her ST on Facebook and Twitter. We love hearing from everybody. Email us at the gang at the gang at whoinvitedher.net. You can listen to us everywhere. And we are live on YouTube every Saturday at 12:30. So subscribe, comment, all of that good stuff. And today we're going to leave you with a song that Mexican Eric picked this week. And it's a remake of an old song, an old Pointer Sisters song, Automatic. But Ten Snake did a remix of it, and I actually really like it. It's actually pretty good.
Oh, I did hear this, yes.
Automatic. Okay. Yes, and Robbie, do you have something to add in?
Hey, everybody, I'm here too. I just wanted to give a shout out to Michael Perry. I know you're a loyal listener.
Oh, Michael Perry, yay, we love him.
He's chatting with us on YouTube Live. So, hi.
Hi, Michael. Yes, he's in Canada, right?
Yeah.
He's up there, yeah. That's right.
So fast into frame, I thought he was going to body check.
I know. I was like, oh, Rob, it's not nighttime yet. Save that for the bedroom. Anyways, this is Automatic, you guys.
Girl, please.
By Ten Snake. Thank you again, Alexander. It has been an absolute pleasure.
I love your show.
Bye, everybody. We will see you next week.
Bye.
What you do to me? I'm utterly at your whim. All of my defenses down. Your camera looks through me with its X-ray vision, and all systems run.